We've been talking about creating new compositions and placing clips into these compositions. What I would like to do now is show you how to do something useful with the knowledge that we have already. I'm going to go ahead and delete all of these compositions so that we start anew. I just select them in the project panel, and I can either click on this trash can icon or I can press the delete key. Either way it's okay. And there you go. I'd like to show you how to create a film strip effect. For that, we need to use more than one clip at the same time. So I'm going to grab this whole folder that is called Movies. This contains all of these movies. I think I'm going to drag the flower ones out. And there you go. And I'm going to drag now this whole folder into the new composition icon at the bottom of the project panel. This prompts a new dialog box. This is the new composition from selection. We can create a single composition that will contain all of these files, or we can create multiple compositions. That means one composition per clip. That's not what we want, so we're going to leave it at single composition. The next thing that we have is this one right here, Options. What this means is this. In After Effects, we can use different frame sizes and frame rates in the same composition. So basically, After Effects is just asking us from which file is going to be taking information to create the composition. In this case, all of our files contain the same type of information, the same frame rate and the same frame size, so it really doesn't matter which one we choose. But as you can see, if you click here, all of the files are listed in here. If we had stills, in other words, if we had pictures or graphics, how long would you like for them to display? Stills themselves do not have any duration, so you can indicate in here to After Effects how long you would like for those to show. We don't have any stills on this particular example, so it doesn't really matter. You can add this composition directly to the render queue. More on that later. You can also sequence the layers. If you sequence the layers, that just means it's going to play one layer and then the other one and then the other one. If you choose not to sequence them, then what's going to happen is that After Effects will play all of the layers at the same time. I don't want to sequence them right now, so I'll click OK. A new composition is created with all of my layers in there, all playing at the same time. The next part of this lesson is meant for you to just sit back and watch. Don't follow it because we're going to go over terms and over techniques that we have not gone over. I just want to show you what can be done really quickly and easily in After Effects. I'll go ahead and make this composition a little bit larger. Notice that the clip called Boy and Pig is actually pinkish in color. That is because on the first lesson we changed the label to peach. I want you to notice that all of these layers are selected. If I click on the gray here, they become deselected. But in this case, I want for them to be selected, so I'm just going to click and drag to include all of the layers. I am going to move the playhead to a little bit right before the end of my shortest layer. And because all of my layers are selected, whatever I do now will affect all of them. So I'm going to use the shortcut Option right bracket or Alt right bracket for Windows. And I'm going to trim all of my layers so that they are all the same length. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to use the shortcut which is S for Scale. And like I mentioned before, this is not meant for you to follow along, so just sit back and relax. Now I'm going to scrub these numbers to make all of my layers smaller. Now I'll press the shortcut which is P for Position, and I'll scrub this value here so that all of my layers move to the left. I'll move the playhead to the beginning and I'll keyframe the position. I will move now the playhead to the end and I'll scrub this value so that my layers move from left to right. If I want to play this timeline, and I can do so by just pressing the spacebar, I will see that all of my layers are moving at the same time from left to right. I will pause by pressing the spacebar again. This is exactly what I want. However, the effect that I want is a film strip effect. So even though my clips are doing what I need them to do, they are not doing them when I need for them to do it. So I need to stagger these clips in time so that they all do the same thing, but a little bit one after the other. I need to find out by how much each and every layer must overlap with the other one. For that, I'm going to deselect all of my layers by clicking on a gray space here, and I will move layer 2 out from underneath. What that does is that layer 2 now starts later and it's not overlapping layer 1, but it's doing exactly the same thing. This is the beginning of that film strip effect. I am going to select layer 1 and I'm going to move the playhead to the out point of this layer. For that, I'm going to use the shortcut, which is the letter O. Notice the time code right here on the left. It says 6:14. That means that all of my layers are 6 seconds and 14 frames in length. I'll select now layer 2. And I am going to see when in time layer 2 is beginning. For that, I'm going to use the shortcut, which is the letter I. 113 is the timecode number that I get. The previous value that I had was 6:14, and now I have 113. I need to subtract 113 from 6:14, and that's a very easy subtraction. That is 5 seconds and 1 frame. Basically, all of my layers need to overlap by 5 seconds and 1 frame. I will select all of my layers by using the shortcut Command A for Mac, Control A for Windows. Now I'm going to go under Animation, Keyframe Assistant, Sequence Layers. In here I'll tell them to overlap, and I will put in the value that we got before, which is 5 seconds, 1 frame. That is just 5:01. That's all you need to type. Press Enter or Return, and there you go. If you play the timeline, again that's just a spacebar, you're going to see that all of the clips are exactly spaced the same, and we get a film strip effect. I'll stop. Again, don't try this yet. This is an exercise that you can come back to later on and do after we have gone over all the other concepts like keyframing and sequencing layers, etc., etc.